Our relationship, I think at that point, things were coming down on us pretty hard, and we started to take care of each other a lot more.
Yeah. We did 72 of those shows.
CBS had strict rules about editing the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. Every second was reviewed, every word checked, but on September 17, 1967, something slipped through. The censors missed it, the director didn't catch it, and even the brothers themselves didn't realize until later. During The Who's performance, the camera accidentally captured something in the background, something that proved what many suspected but could never confirm. The Smothers Brothers story, however, began not with comedy, but with tragedy. Their father, Major Thomas B. Smothers Jr., an Army officer, was stationed in the Philippines during World War II. When Japan invaded in 1941, his wife Ruth and their sons were evacuated while he was captured and forced to endure the brutal Bataan Death March. Later, he was sent to Fukuoka No. 22, a harsh prison camp in Japan. In April 1945, just months before the war ended, he grew too sick to work and was moved from Fukuoka to Korea. He never made it. Some reports say he was buried at sea. Others claim he was cremated in Korea, but of the 110 men transferred with him, only 36 survived. Major Smothers was the last to die, leaving Ruth alone to raise Tom, born in 1937, and Dick, born in 1938, in California, while she worked long hours to provide for them. That hardship shaped their outlook on life and eventually their comedy. Their first real breakthrough came in 1959 at the Purple Onion in San Francisco, where they were booked for 2 weeks but stayed for 36 thanks to their wildly popular mix of folk music and witty storytelling. Audiences loved their improvisational humor, born from their casual banter and sibling teasing, which soon became their trademark. On stage, Tom played the innocent fool while Dick took the role of the serious brother, leading to playful arguments and Tom's famous line, "Mom always liked you best," which never failed to bring down the house. This authentic dynamic gave their act an honesty that audiences connected with. By the mid-1960s, CBS, desperate to compete with NBC's juggernaut Bonanza, saw in Tom and Dick a chance to capture younger viewers and reinvent its image. On February 5, 1967, the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour premiered. At first, it seemed like a standard variety show, even introduced by Ed Sullivan as wholesome all-American boys, but within just a few episodes, it became clear they were something entirely different. It soon became clear that the Smothers Brothers weren't typical at all. They joked about the Vietnam War, mocked politicians, and talked openly about real issues. Their comedy was sharp, daring, and unafraid, and every week they pushed boundaries that audiences loved. Within just 2 weeks, they even beat Bonanza in the ratings, drawing in younger viewers and thrilling advertisers. Before the show began, Tom had demanded total creative control, and CBS, desperate for a hit, agreed, giving the brothers the freedom to say what they wanted. They used it to invite folk singers like Pete Seeger, who performed anti-war songs, and to poke fun at President Johnson on national television. Every episode felt like a surprise, every episode a risk. The CBS censors fought them constantly, but the brothers fought back, often making the censorship itself part of the comedy. Their writing team was just as fearless, with young talents like Steve Martin, Rob Reiner, Lorne Michaels, and David Steinberg cutting their teeth on the show. They wrote jokes that mattered, broke the usual TV rules, and went on to shape the future of American comedy with shows like Saturday Night Live, All in the Family, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Then, in 1968, the program made history when, on October 6th, it broadcast the Beatles' promotional film for Hey Jude. While audiences in the UK had already seen it weeks earlier, this was the first time Americans were introduced to what would later be called a music video. Shot at Twickenham Studios, complete with a white tuxedoed orchestra, 300 extras, and Ringo Starr's return to the band, the film was more than just a performance. It was a cultural event. The following week, the show aired The Beatles' Revolution, giving American audiences back-to-back music films in a way no other network could. Music was changing, television was changing, and the Smothers Brothers were at the center of it. Another groundbreaking moment came when they invited Pete Seeger, who had been blacklisted from TV for nearly 17 years, to perform. In September 1967, CBS cut his performance of Waist Deep in the Big Muddy, a song that directly criticized President Johnson's Vietnam policy. Tom Smothers refused to let the moment pass quietly, spreading the story to the press, and public outrage forced CBS to allow Seeger back. On February 25, 1968, millions of Americans finally saw him perform the song uncensored, marking the first time a blacklisted artist openly challenged a sitting president on television. The show also gave a platform to rock bands mainstream TV avoided. Between 1967 and 1969, The Who, The Doors, Jefferson Airplane, Buffalo Springfield, and Steppenwolf all performed. Their sets were raw, unpredictable, and unforgettable. The Who destroyed their instruments with explosives that damaged Pete Townshend's hearing. The Doors played Touch Me with a full orchestra. Jefferson Airplane sang Crown of Creation about nuclear fears. Buffalo Springfield performed For What It's Worth, and Steppenwolf blasted through Born to Be Wild. The brothers didn't care if the network was nervous. They wanted rebellious voices to be heard. That spirit of defiance earned them the respect of rock's biggest icons. On April 26, 1969, at the Los Angeles Forum, Jimi Hendrix paused mid-show to dedicate his performance to the Smothers Brothers, calling them heroes for giving art and protest a place to coexist on American television. At the height of his career, Jimi Hendrix paused on stage to remind everyone that even though CBS had just canceled the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour for being too controversial, the brothers mattered. He called them heroes because music and comedy had never blended so perfectly, and they did it with humor, too. One of the show's best examples was the recurring sketch Share a Little Tea with Goldie, where Lee French played Goldie O'Keefe, a spaced-out hippie who gave sly advice filled with double meanings. Tea was code for marijuana, and although the censors made them change her last name from Keefe, slang for cannabis, to O'Keefe, audiences still knew exactly what was going on. When Goldie talked about roaches, nobody thought she meant bugs. Younger viewers loved the wink and nod style of the bit, and despite CBS's constant watch, Goldie became a cult favorite. That rebellious energy carried into the music, too. On September 17, 1967, The Who performed My Generation. On the show, and drummer Keith Moon secretly filled his kick drum with far more explosives than anyone expected. When the finale hit, the blast was so powerful that smoke and debris flew across the stage. Pete Townshend's hair was blown into a mess, and the shockwave left him with permanent hearing damage, nearly 90% loss in one ear. The audience gasped before erupting into cheers as chaos unfolded. Amid the smoke, Townshend grabbed Tom Smothers' acoustic guitar and smashed it to pieces on stage, leaving Tom stunned and silent. It was shocking, raw, and unforgettable, a performance that split generations. Kids saw freedom, parents saw outrage. That same rebellious spirit carried through with Joan Baez, a folk singer known for her activism, who appeared on the show in 1967 to dedicate a song to her husband, David Harris, who was serving a 3-year prison sentence for draft resistance. CBS censored most of her message, leaving only a vague introduction, but her bravery added to the growing tension between the show and the network. By then, both President Lyndon B. Johnson and later Richard Nixon had pressured CBS, with Johnson even calling the network at 3 a.m. to complain about the brothers' political jokes. In 1968, when Harry Belafonte filmed a searing performance of Lord, Don't Stop the Carnival against footage of police beating protesters at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, CBS refused to air it. Instead, they sold the cut segment's airtime to the Republican Party for campaign ads. What should have been a powerful protest against political violence became propaganda for the very politicians being criticized, making it clearer than ever which side CBS had chosen. By late 1968, the Smothers Brothers were under relentless pressure from CBS. The network ordered that every script, joke, lyric,